Si tu y arrives. Faut cacher le fil un peu.
Et nous,
Si.
après, d'accord.
Good morning, everybody. We are very happy to welcome you in ESMOD Fashion Design and Fashion Business in Paris. We are live in Paris, so join us in a few minutes for the special digital roundtable on career path in the fashion industry after this video. Welcome to this marvelous place here in Paris. Welcome to ESMOD Fashion Design and ESMOD Fashion Business in the heart of Paris. I'm sure you will join us next year as a new student. This morning, a special digital roundtable on career paths in the fashion industry. 7 stages in the life cycle of a fashion product will be presented to you and detailed by Janan Fugel. Hi, Janan. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
You are admission officer at ESMOD Paris. And Bumpa Sirapana, who is Career Development Service for Fashion Business.
Hello.
A few words about your job.
Sure. So I work between 2 different departments here at ESMOD Paris. I work between the communications and the admissions team. So I'm an admissions officer for our short-term courses, our summer and evening courses. And I also work with the communications department for our social media platforms, particularly TikTok, as well as our events like this one.
And Bumpa, a few words about your job.
Yes, my role in the school is to accompany the students for their internships researches, and also to do the relationships between the school and the companies.
Okay. Just a few words about the fact we have no mask, but don't worry, the safety distance is respected between the speakers. I'm very happy to introduce Véronique Beaumont, who is the Chief Operating Officer. So I have a first question for you, Véronique. Can you tell us about ESMOD, 180 years of history, the guarantee of sustainability?
Yes, of course, and welcome everybody. We are the first fashion school created in 1841 by Alexis Lavigne. And Alexis Lavigne was not only the couturier of Empress Eugénie, that's very important, but also an inventor. But you can check our storytelling and the different stories and different inventions on our website. And then after, he developed, and with the family, Lavigne family, they developed an international network of schools in France and worldwide.
What about the international network?
Alors, the international network, of course, it starts in Paris, capital of fashion, of international fashion. So we have 6 schools in France now. We have 1 in Paris, and we are here in this beautiful building from the beginning of the 20th century, with the Eiffel structure.
Yeah.
So it's very important. We are in the center of Paris. We have now Pantin since 2017. And the Pantin building is a really new campus. Pantin is like the 21st area of Paris. You can find Chanel and Hermès Atelier. And you can find also a new generation of eco-fashion entrepreneurs. Of course, we have our different schools in France. Hello, everybody. We are in really important areas of France, very important with the culture, with economically new ecosystem, Bordeaux, Rennes, Lyon, and Roubaix. And internationally, it started at the end of the 70s, first we opened Tokyo in Japan, and then we have different schools. We have about 15 schools in different countries, like Japan, China, Malaysia, Indonesia. I don't want to forget, because they are here also in connection.
Everybody.
Hi, everybody. South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Norway, Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, Tunisia, and Dubai.
Can you detail the different courses in ESMOD Fashion Design?
Okay, so I think you are going to have more details after, and we will have also different people talking about the different courses. But in fact, it started with fashion design, but now we have 2 different curriculums. Talking about fashion and for fashion design and fashion business, it was created 30 years ago. ESM, it was called ESM, and now it's ESMOD Fashion Business. And we have now 2 different curriculum, fashion design, fashion business, with 2 programs, undergraduate and postgraduate. Now let's talk about the specificities. For fashion design, we have these undergraduate programs, 3 years, and during the 3rd years, they can choose the specialization. We have new couture, luxury, women and men ready-to-wear, sportswear, lingerie, accessories, kidswear, knitwear. And after, to have this graduation, you have to create your own collection. And then you have the title of certified title, level 6 of stylist designer in fashion and luxury. You have different courses, mainly, of course, design, pattern making, cutting, sewing, but some fundamentals like textile, branding, image, history and culture of fashion, which is very important. Of course, you can continue with the postgraduate program in 5 years then. And we are going to, for the two, for those courses, you have more brand management, you have more entrepreneurship, you have more innovation, more sustainability, more eco-fashion inside these design programs. And then after this graduation, you have to make like a thesis, like a project, special projects on a topics, on an innovative or sustainable topic. And you obtain the title, certified title level 7 as a creative director.
And for fashion business?
For fashion business, so the two programs, the first undergraduate, 3 years, and of course it's more focused. It's more focused on, of course, creative marketing, management, retail, communication, but we have also strong courses about history, culture, product strategies, of course, a lot of law also, very important business plans, accounting, different languages, as we have also in design, different languages like English, but for business we have Spanish, we have Italian. That's very important. We are in international school, and you will work in international companies. So at the end of the 3rd year, you have to have to make a special project, which is like a brand extension or a co-branding. And then you obtain the graduation and the certified title of, I checked because it changed recently, it's Manager of Marketing and Communication Strategies in fashion and luxury industry. Then you can go on also for the postgraduate. And you are going to work with a student of fashion design of the 3rd year for the 1st year to make like a team building and working on brand development, brand management, more digital strategy, of course, sustainability, eco-fashion. And for the 5th year, you are going to have like some courses more on different sectors of luxury and of innovation, but you are going to have an internship, and Bumpa will talk about that later, when you will work inside a company and you will develop inside this company one important topic. It could be craftsmanship, it could be really a marketing topic like digital marketing, it could be again innovation, really something special. And at the end you obtain the title, certified title level 7 as a manager of international development for luxury and fashion brands.
A part of the success of ESMOD all over the world is the teaching team. It was very important for you to introduce the teaching team.
Yes, because of course, with those really strong curriculum and programs, we have, of course, for instance, in fashion design, we have our exclusive teachers, because professors, because Alexis Lavigne invented some special methodology of education and craftsmanship and pattern making, and we have our exclusive professors with this methodology, and most of them, they studied in ESMOD. Also, we have our adjunct professors. They are freelance professors. I was professor, and I was very, very happy to be one of those professors, coming really from the companies, having a strong experience in different topics. And they are a part of it, and we have more and more professional coming and giving some courses, short courses, conferences, speakers, lectures. And of course, we have our alumni, and we will talk about that later. This is our strengths. They come back, they are part of the jury, they give some advices for the evolution of the different courses. So that's very, very important. And we have more and more companies, managers of companies, managers of design or marketing. They come and they give some master classes to explain to our different students the evolution of the jobs, of the missions.
Thank you very much, Véronique. You are Chief Operating Officer. Of course, we'll speak about the teachers during the day.
Yes.
So now, the special digital roundtable on careers in the fashion industry with Janan and with Bumpa. I'm very happy to have them because their English is perfect and not mine. I'm so sorry. Janan, you are admission officer in ESMOD Paris. A few words about the life cycle of a fashion product.
Sure. So of course, in the fashion industry, it's a very broad term, and there are a plethora of different career paths and professions that one can take, especially once you've studied with us here at ESMOD, whether it be fashion business or fashion design. So to illustrate that, we're going to go through the life cycle of a product, detailing the different professions that make up the fashion and fashion and luxury industries. This cycle is kind of like a track. There are 8 different steps going from concept to distribution, including sourcing, design, development, strategies, production, communications, oh my. So please note that even though we're illustrating this as a linear line, it's not necessarily that in real life. Of course, certain steps will come before others, certain steps will happen at the same time, depending on the brand, the collection. So just keep that in mind, even though we're presenting it in sort of an easier, digestible method. So as we present this broad outline, we will hear from several of our distinguished alums, as well as myself and Bumpa. So we will start first with the theory step, or the conception step. This is at the beginning of everything. There's an idea, of course. And in fashion, that means we start by either taking a trend or creating a trend and running with it. And so the professions in this case are trend analyst or trend forecaster. They look at the big picture. They look at sort of the possibilities, and they take it and run with it.
Okay, so we'll speak about all the subject this morning: theory, artistic director, marketing, design, production, techniques, communication and distribution this morning. 7 stages this morning. You can ask your question with Facebook, with YouTube, and with Zoom. So you can ask all your questions. We will answer to them about 11:30. So first, the theory.
Yes. So the theory step, the conception step, as I said, it's everything at the very beginning. So before the design product, before the pen goes to paper to sketch out the designs, before the pattern makers get to make their patterns, before anything gets sewn, before anything gets sold, there's an idea. And we look at the trends, we look at the concepts, we look at what's happening in fashion, but also in the world, in the news, politics, everything comes into play, and all of that is the theory, the concept, before we get into the concrete.
Maybe we could watch a video about Laure Nicolai, who is consultant trends and prospective, correct?
Yes.
Et je suis consultante en tendance et prospective à mon compte.
En quoi consiste ton métier?
Alors en fait, dans mon métier, j'ai un peu 3 grands styles de missions différentes. J'ai les premières missions que j'appelle un peu vision prospective. Donc ça, c'est vraiment faire de la veille de tendance sociétale ou de tendance esthétique et d'en tirer les grandes tendances, les grands courants qui vont inspirer la création. Donc c'est vraiment des tendances très transversales qui peuvent aussi bien inspirer l'univers de la mode, évidemment, de la beauté, de la food, ça peut être même le jeu vidéo, la musique, enfin voilà, c'est des tendances qui sont très larges et qui sont très transversales. Ensuite, il y a un côté direction artistique. Donc là, c'est plus travailler avec une marque en direct et relier en fait l'ADN de la marque avec ses tendances et ses grands courants. Donc c'est un peu la traduction de ces grandes tendances pour une marque en particulier. Le troisième type de mission que j'ai, c'est travailler justement sur l'ADN de marque et le storytelling. Donc voilà, l'ADN de marque, c'est dire qui est la marque, pourquoi elle est là, qu'est-ce qu'elle porte comme message. Voilà, c'est un peu la fiche d'identité de la marque. Pour être consultant en tendance, ce qu'il faut avoir, c'est surtout les soft skills. Donc c'est tout ce qui est compétences humaines, de la curiosité, de l'empathie, parce qu'on va travailler pour des clients qui, a priori, ne nous ressemblent pas du tout, qui n'ont pas du tout le même style que nous et qui peut-être n'ont pas même la même vision du monde que nous. Donc, c'est vraiment arriver à se mettre à la place des gens pour les aider. Voilà, la curiosité d'être toujours ouvert sur le monde, de toujours remettre en question, savoir aller chercher l'information, donc pas rester dans sa bulle dans sa bulle esthétique ou dans la bulle de ses goûts, mais vraiment avoir une capacité à aller chercher plus loin et voilà, s'intéresser aux gens. Enfin voilà, faut être très ouvert et avoir une capacité d'adaptation forte.
Now for artistic director.
Yes, so the next step is artistic direction. So we're still kind of in the larger, big picture, but sort of a little bit more specifically to the brand and then the collection and the product. And so the artistic director or creative director, the head designer, their job is really to look at the overall universe of a collection and to take the trends and then apply it. And of course, within this step, there's also, especially more and more now, a dimension of CSR or corporate social responsibility, wherein brands are being called upon to be more transparent, to be more eco-responsible, to be more sustainable. And so there's a whole dimension and also a whole new array of professions that go along with that.
So we're going to watch a video from Johan Cochard. He's an artistic director and currently freelance stylist.
Très bien. Bonjour Edwin, donc je m'appelle Johan Cochard. Je suis actuellement styliste graphiste freelance pour ma propre compagnie. Voilà, je suis anciennement responsable du bureau de style, modélisme et packaging textile pour les enseignes du groupe géant Casino. Donc c'est un poste que j'ai occupé et j'ai travaillé pendant 14 ans au sein de la grande distribution.
Quelles étaient tes missions dans ton entreprise?
J'avais la direction artistique des collections géants qui regroupait 5 marques textiles pour les différents secteurs d'activité. Donc l'homme, la femme, l'enfant, le bébé, le sous-vêtement, la nuit, enfin voilà, tout ce qu'on peut imaginer comme textile en hyper et supermarché. Ce poste du coup contenait la validation et la mise en place des tendances pour 2 grandes collections par an, plus tout ce qui est actualisation saisonnière et les grands catalogues promotionnels, les grands rendez-vous. Du coup, c'était la validation de toutes les planches style, toutes les tendances en amont et la mise en place des tendances en amont avec les prestataires freelance ou les équipes internes. Et par la suite, le bien-aller du produit. En gros, j'avais la vie du produit dans les mains puisque je partais du croquis de style au packaging dédié au magasin pour la mise en place par le merchandising. Donc du coup, j'étais manager d'une équipe de 15 personnes. Parce que bon, on n'est pas trop de 15 pour gérer les collections en grande distribution. Un bureau de style constitué de 7 personnes, dont 6 permanents en alternant. Un bureau de modélisme en prestation extérieure de 8 personnes et une responsable packaging. Et en gros, mon boulot au quotidien, c'était de gérer ces équipes, de valider les collections et en parallèle de gérer les budgets. Fonctionnement différent. J'ai passé 3 ans à ESMOD, j'ai eu un diplôme en stylisme prêt-à-porter homme. J'ai enchaîné sur 1 an de stage chez Dim à l'époque, avec la gestion des collections sous-vêtements hommes et slip seule femme. Ensuite, j'ai été embauché par le groupe Casino en tant que styliste sous-vêtements et j'ai à peu près changé de poste tous les 2 ans.
Step artistic direction. Third step, this is marketing to position the product on its market. So Boompa, sorry.
No, that's fine. So, in the fashion industry where the competition is fierce, this creative process must be supported. So, in order to be able to, create a coherent, logical, marketable collection while remaining creative, the artistic director as well as the creative teams need to collaborate with marketing. So, there are many jobs in marketing, such as merchandising manager, traffic manager, digital project manager, market strategy director, director international development director. I'm not going to tell them all, but maybe we can focus on the jobs of marketing director or marketing managers who will define, propose, and develop marketing strategies in order to respond to the demands of the market. Maybe Véronique, you can also introduce also this digital innovation into the marketing. There's also a lot of other jobs in marketing.
Of course, we teach the fundamentals of marketing, which is really basically the targets, the positionings, and but more and more we talk about the brand value and the brand DNA and the brand storytelling. And it's very important. We talk about a lot in marketing about digital content, visual content, and we use more the data than really doing some market surveys. And we have new jobs, even in digital marketing, like data scientists, or of course, everything is linked to with the consumers. A lot of really consumer survey in digital with CRM, customer relationship management. That's a very important job now in digital marketing.
Yes, exactly. The customer relationship manager, actually, it's knowing to who we talk to. So the customer relationship manager, the aim is to respond to the expectation of their customers, and the aim is to also to develop and build actually their customers' loyalty. We talk also about the storytelling, so it is also the role of the brand manager or the brand director who will define actually the storytelling. That is to say that he's going to define the brand identity of a brand and from his its story.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to welcome one old student of ESMOD. This is Dara Gabrielle Roman. She's there. Hi, Dara.
Hi, Dara.
Very happy to welcome you in this place. You know this place very well.
Yes, well, I was in ESM, so not particularly, but yes, I've been here like 3 times.
Can you tell us about your job? You are e-commerce product manager.
Yes, I'm an e-commerce product manager. So I work for Risi.com. So Risi.com specializes in second-hand and vintage fashion items. So what makes our site different from other platforms is we are not a marketplace. We curate our selection very well. So basically, we put on product. We put on product per story. So, for example, Saint Laurent from the 70s, like from time period, Saint Laurent from the 70s, Balenciaga by Nicolas Ghesquière. Obviously, the long history of Chanel. And so mostly my job is, I do a lot of things for a small startup company. So my job is mainly to basically vet every product page before it goes online. So I write the product pages, find the best pictures that represent the product, and then put all the measurements and condition. And obviously with second-hand and vintage items, condition is important because people, besides the fact that in e-commerce they don't see the product in person, you have to tell them everything that's, everything that, how the product is, the condition of the product is, because vintage always has, well, as we say, there's always a little a little something wrong with it. So yes, so you know, like it's somebody has worn it, so there might be a hole or like you know, like something like that.
Pre-loved.
Pre-loved, exactly. It's the new trend. So, yes, and yeah, so that's basically my job, and also I do a lot of technical stuff because it's also one of my passions. I manage the website. Like I manage the website. I talk to our developers about the customer journey. Of course, we're always trying to improve the customer journey of the client once they get on the site. And yeah, and also e-merchandising. So obviously, like it's very important to e-merchandise because, for example, if you have 20 black dresses and 5 accessories, it will look super, super bad. Like, you know, it's not bad, but it hurts to look at it when you're scrolling on the phone.
It's all about the aesthetics.
It's all about aesthetics. So yeah, it's that's also some part of my job.
Some part of. Janan, do you want to ask some question to?
Sure. So tell me, what in your opinion is one of the parts of the ESMOD curriculum that continues to serve you in your job today?
As I just mentioned, e-merchandising. We also had a class about web design, like how to create your website, and also obviously the communication part, like how you present yourself, because it's not just obviously we're an e-commerce site, but sometimes you have to talk to clients, you have to talk to you have to talk to clients, you have to welcome them in your show. Like we also have a showroom, so it's things like that. But basically, yeah, I really believe like that. I felt like my education was very well-rounded because for other people I'm doing 3 people's jobs, but I'm only one. So, but yeah, it's because of I would like to say it's because of my well-rounded education.
Bumpa, do you have a question for?
Yeah, Dara. Well, actually, I know your path during your studies. So my question would be, what was your background before entering the school?
So my background was, before entering the school, was I was studying, I have an associate degree in fashion marketing and management. So from Raffles University Singapore, Design University Singapore. So basically I started my fashion journey because after high school, I didn't know what to do. Because I was like, oh, I can go to doctor school, I can study law, I can study so many things, but I had an internship at Paul Smith where I fell in love with retail. So for 5 months, I was just selling and I was seeing the new collections arrive. I was merchandising in the store. We were steaming garments, putting it on the mannequin. And yeah, that was my background. And I fell in love with fashion there. I fell in love with the retail, with how it makes people happy. So that's why I decided to pursue this career.
What would you like to say to a future student who is listening to us this morning?
Obviously, fashion is a fun course for most people, but it's not all fun.
Of course, it's not all fun.
It's not all fun, okay? Because, like for example, I would like to say, like, you don't need to be creative to be in fashion business. Like you don't need to know how to design, but you need to have really a serious interest in fashion because actually fashion is not, the creative part is fun, but the business part is super useful. Like it will not all be the fun courses. Like for example, I remember at my time we had accounting classes, and people and my classmates were like, Dara, help us, because I was the only person in class who was understanding the teacher, and I said, okay, I helped everybody, but then I was like, so you all are just creative, so like, you know, like it's also important to that, you know, we're studying business here.
Yeah.
Like for example, for me particularly, I was studying business, so you have to be prepared that you're gonna have like courses like that.
You have learned methods during your when you were in ESMOD.
Sorry?
The method.
Yeah,
it was very important for.
Yeah, I mean, like, I found like no, but I find like it's useful, like the method, you know,
Yeah.
like for example, accounting. you know, like because you know budgets, like everybody works in every industry works with a budget, you know, and you have to see like, and also in we learned not just accounting, like we did a market study of how much people spend, like the average spending of people, and obviously like for example in our job, for me I find it very useful because I can think about the budget of, like, for example, people in France and how much would they spend, and so it's important for pricing the product that you're about to sell. So I found that was very important.
Thank you very much to be with us this morning. Do you have any question for Dara? No?
I think that covers it.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Dara.
much.
Thank you, Dara.
Dara Gabriel, who is e-commerce product manager. So we're going to continue with design. And for the design, this is Janan.
Yes, so the next step in our cycle is the design step. This is, of course, probably the most popular. You at home may have seen some people in movies or even on Netflix madly sketching products or making collages, mood boards, things like that. That is, of course, all within the, whether you're a designer, a collection coordinator, a graphic designer, but there's, of course, also another dimension, a more technical side of things, which is part of our curriculum here at ESMOD Fashion Design. And so there's lots to learn within that, and there's also lots to do, whether it be sketching, whether it be creating mood boards, or whether it be overseeing a collection.
So we're going to watch two videos with Camille Darmagnac, styliste, and Cyril Mira.
Je suis Camille et styliste depuis 11 ans. Actuellement, je suis styliste freelance et j'ai également monté ma marque de vêtements vintage qui s'appelle Storia. Actuellement, je travaille pour des fournisseurs de marques. Je leur crée des collections produits, donc de vêtements, qu'ils vont proposer eux-mêmes à des marques, Etam, Promode, Monoprix, voilà, ce genre de marque-là.
Et comment le métier a changé face aux évolutions du marché ces dernières années?
Il a beaucoup évolué avec l'explosion du e-commerce qui ne fait que progresser. Donc, c'est vraiment une autre façon de travailler, d'appréhender le produit. Beaucoup, de plus en plus de concurrence à tous les niveaux sur le marché. Donc, il faut savoir travailler vite, bien et surtout redoubler de créativité et de bonnes idées pour pouvoir avoir un produit efficace.
Quelles sont les compétences attendues pour exercer ce métier?
Déjà, pour moi, le plus important, c'est d'être passionné. Le métier de styliste, c'est un métier de passion. Et si on n'est pas passionné par ce qu'on fait, c'est juste pas la peine de choisir ce métier-là. Donc ça, c'est vraiment un des points clés du métier. Ensuite, il faut être forcément créatif, il faut avoir plein d'idées. Donc la création ou la créativité, on va la chercher un peu partout. Il faut aussi avoir toujours, donc particulièrement dans le prêt-à-porter de moyenne gamme. Le nerf de la guerre, c'est quand même de vendre le produit et le modèle. Et donc, il faut avoir vraiment un œil commercial sur le vêtement qu'on est en train de penser et de créer. Est-ce qu'il va se vendre en boutique? Parce que, en fait, la finalité, c'est ce que les marques cherchent chez un styliste freelance.
Je suis créateur de mode. J'ai lancé ma marque en 2019, Mira Paris, c'est une marque de prêt-à-porter féminin. Bon, j'ai différentes missions. Actuellement, j'élabore les différentes collections, donc de la recherche des moodboards, des matières, à la création des patrons pour réaliser les prototypes, donc donner vie aux croquis, et également m'occuper du suivi de production et toute la partie commerciale de la marque. Avoir une bonne formation mode, ça reste quand même la base et que ça nous aide pour la suite. Après, je pense qu'il faut quand même être curieux, donc c'est-à-dire se cultiver tout le temps, que ce soit une culture mode ou une culture générale, ça va vraiment nous aider pour la suite et surtout, malgré tout, être passionné. Ça reste un des meilleurs fondamentaux. Je pense que moi, j'ai un parcours assez atypique. J'ai quitté le Sud à 18 ans, j'ai fait 1 an d'études à Boston dans une université de commerce. Une fois arrivé sur place, je me suis rendu compte qu'au final, c'était plus la mode qui me plaisait. Donc, j'ai atterri à Paris, à ESMOD, où j'ai fait mon cursus stylisme-modélisme, en formation homme d'ailleurs. J'ai suivi après la formation en 4e année marketing pour justement pouvoir compléter cette formation, avoir la double casquette. Au final, j'ai travaillé dans différentes maisons, différents postes, dont la dernière où j'étais en maroquinerie, donc totalement différent quand même de ce que j'ai appris, mais qui était quand même en lien. Et actuellement, j'ai créé ma marque de prêt-à-porter féminin. Donc malgré toutes ces études, ça nous permet d'avoir un large panel de choix par la suite. J'ai commencé en tant qu'assistant styliste en stagiaire. J'ai travaillé donc même en auto-entrepreneur, j'ai été très vite auto-entrepreneur où j'ai eu quelques missions. J'ai fait quelques petites missions chez On aura tout vu et un de mes derniers postes, ça a été chez Maison Raven où j'ai commencé en tant que stagiaire et puis j'ai évolué en interne où je suis devenu styliste puis jusqu'au poste d'assistant directeur artistique où là je touchais vraiment à tout, où c'était mon poste dans la maroquinerie. Puis j'ai également fait du graphisme. J'ai travaillé pour la durée, ou j'ai travaillé pour les packaging. Ça m'a permis vraiment de toucher un petit peu à différents corps de métier.
If you join us now, we are live from Paris in ESMOD Fashion Business and Fashion Design School. And this is the special digital roundtable on career paths in the fashion industry this morning. So we have Konstantinos Andrinopoulos, who is with us this morning. So Costa is there. I hope so.
Costa?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Costa.
How are you?
You are fine, and you?
Great, thanks.
You are an old student. Can you tell us about ESMOD? And
yeah, so I actually joined ESMOD directly into the third year.
Yeah.
I specialize in menswear. And with that, I followed the classic curriculum of doing half modelism and half stylism, half design. And then from then on, I went to do my end of year stage, and then that brings me to now.
Where was your end of year internship?
I did it at a brand called Homecore, and then I stayed on actually as assistant designer, and then afterwards I went on to the brand that I'm working on currently,
Which is?
Husbands in Paris.
Your internship was very important for you.
Yeah, actually I'd say that I've done a lot of internships. I'm from the US originally.
Yeah.
And I first started doing internships in editorial, and then I went on kind of on more of the direction of design and creation with my first internship at The Row in fabric development. And that was something that was really a really good entry point for me in terms of developing fabrics, working with a design team, working also with the teams that organize the production for fabrics and everything. And then I went on to ESMOD actually, where I really learned more how to create a garment, how to design a piece from the smallest details of the fit, the pattern construction, the selection of the material, and then also really the creative aspect of looking at the collection and garment as it fit as a whole for everything. And then, and yeah, that kind of prepared me, I think, for my time at ESMOD and then on.
Today you are product developer. Can you tell us about your job?
So basically what I do is I work with the founder of the company in the creation of the collections. And then with our product development team, we design the collection, we create it, we look at what pieces we're going to have, what kind of mood we're looking at for the season, what we have currently existing in the current collections in the product range, and then from that we work with our pattern drafter. We physically start to create everything, the prototypes, we go with our factories, select the materials, create the real fabrics themselves, and then start the process of really creating each garment piece, detail by detail, piece by piece. So it's really involved, actually. There's a lot of different parts. We work with a lot of different departments between our merchandising team, marketing team, and the rest of the team to kind of meet everyone's needs and create the best product possible.
Janan, do you have any question for?
Would you say that there was any particular course or subject that prepared you in particular for the career that you went on to have, or what you're currently doing?
I would actually really say all of my courses in the modelism, in the construction. Honestly, it was very, very intense, but I'm so grateful for it because even to this day, the books that I use, the lessons that I've received, it really each day helps me and carries me through my current job. If ever I have a doubt or a question, I'm actually kind of grateful that I can be able to rely on what I've learned, what I've possibly forgotten, where I can look into my books, and it really it helps a lot, actually. And you learn a lot just from listening in school. So whether you really become hands-on and you really enjoy the physical work of the construction of the garments, it's really important, but also just listening and being attentive and observing also, I think, is also something that's really special, that ESMOD really taught me, I'd say. And I think it's great to be really creative with designing and creation, but because we create clothes, I think the technical aspect is really, really important because at the end of the day, someone's going to wear it. So
has to last, right?
It has to last. So we have to.
Has to stay together.
It has to stay together. So I think it's really something that's special. I think that looking at other people, friends that I have that have gone on to other schools and have different studies than myself, it's interesting to see how the technical aspect that ESMOD gave really served me in the long run, I think.
Bumpa has a question for you.
Yes, Costa, you said in the beginning that you entered the school in the third year with the specialization menswear.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that we can integrate the school because we said earlier that the diploma of ESMOD is a 3-year course.
Yeah.
So that means that we can integrate actually ESMOD also directly in the third year.
Yeah.
So did you, what was your background actually before entering ESMOD? So you need, I suppose, creative skills,
Yes.
fashion design and pattern making skills in order to be accepted at ESMOD.
Yeah, before that I was in university in the US, focusing on fashion design, construction, and also marketing, excuse me, slightly. So I had 3 years of studies prior to coming to ESMOD. So when I did the entry exam, which is already very developed in itself, you need to have that base. Whether it's a combination of studies and also internships, I think having the both are really important. To have the professional experience, if you're going later into the third year, say, to have professional experience and also the technical experience that school gives you. You need both, I think. It's important.
Veronique, who is the Chief Operating Officer, has a question for you.
Yeah, I have a question because let's go back to your existing job,
Yeah.
which is one of the most important position inside the company at the moment.
Yeah.
And because we talked about that before, can you tell us do you think if you have to learn to be able to be a good developer, product developer, would you attend fashion design or fashion business or both? So do you think it's quite completely an hybrid job?
At the base, I'd say fashion design, honestly, because I think that there you really learn the product. However, because it's you're not only working with a creative team all the time, so you need to understand business in its global aspect. You need to understand how the product, what you make, fits into everything else. So I think to have a really solid knowledge of fashion design, the product that you're working with, the creation, the aspect of creating is really important. But then you also need to be able to translate that into something that also meets the needs of a marketing team or a commercial team in a company. You need to have an understanding of each other. So I think that really being able to be well versed in that is really important. But I think also a lot of the learning also comes from the job. It comes from making mistakes on the prototypes.
Exactly.
It comes from the responses from clients also a lot of times. So you base your job, I think, as product development around of a lot of different influences that you might not expect in the end that are traditionally fashion oriented, but they're important nonetheless, I'd say.
Janan, do you have any question?
Do you have, since your job encompasses so many different aspects, and as Ernix said, is incredibly important within the context of, as we're talking about, the life cycle of the product, is there an aspect that you would say, based on your training and what you like to do and everything, is there an aspect that you enjoy the most, that you relish getting to do?
Honestly, I really love working with our factories. I think being able to work with the people that make what you're creating, having that relationship is something that for me is very important because you work with them every day. It's important for me to know where each detail of a piece comes, where each trim comes, who it's coming from, who's creating it, who's behind it. Kind of, I guess it's really the full cycle transparency of a product, I guess. Really understanding your suppliers and having a good, solid relationship with them. I think that's something that I really enjoy, and it's nice to be able to have the collaborative energy with them, and then like being able to connect the company and your factories and suppliers and everything. I think that's a real joy of mine. And then seeing the finished product, because I mean,
Sure.
It's nice to be able to see your hard work.
And see it being worn.
And seeing it being, most importantly, seeing it being worn. I think,
Last question. What is your dream today? Because you have a lot of experience. And what is your dream? What would you like for the next years?
The next years.
Good question.
It's a very difficult question.
No pressure or anything.
No. Honestly, I think personally I want to get a lot better at what I do, because I think that there's always room for improvement, and I would like to be the best at what I do and to continue to grow and evolve, because I think that's the best way, I guess, to change the world is to start with yourself and to kind of better and improve yourself. And to really produce quality things, I think. I think that the world needs more quality, so I hope to kind of become more quality as I go forward.
We're never done learning.
We're never done learning.
That's why we have ESMOD Pro, because even when you're in the industry, you need to continue learning. You know, there are going to be new things coming down the pipe that you need to be able to master, and that's very important.
Yeah, it's true. So I think that's the overall goal for the next couple of years.
It's a great goal.
It's good.
Thank you very much. You stay with us, okay?
Perfect.
Okay. So before production and strategy, you can ask your question with Facebook, with YouTube, and Zoom, and we'll answer to your question at 11:30. So, Bumpa, production strategy.
Yes, actually, Costa, you said it very well, and the description of your job as a product developer. So development and production are very the intermediate stage between the design and bringing to market. So the jobs in this area can be suited as well to fashion design and creation profile, as well than fashion business profile, because the skills required are very interdisciplinary, since it's required, as you said, creative and techniques, knowledges about manufacturing, but also to be business oriented. So, so you explain very well the job of a product developer. So it's one of the jobs in this category. But we can also name another job, which is the buyer or the sourcing manager. So who is responsible of purchasing raw materials, semi-finished parts, and trading products, and he calculates needs, place orders, do the follow-ups, and knows very well his suppliers. We can name other jobs such as production manager, product manager, or department store buyer.
There's also,
Sorry.
as Bumpa said,
Yeah.
there's a part of this that is accessible to students that have studied fashion design, as Costa did, and that falls more under also some of the quality control manager, the production manager, some professions like that.
So we're going to watch a video of Julie Arendt. She is
Product manager.
product manager. Sorry. Product manager.
5 ans, je suis une ancienne élève d'ESMOD et aujourd'hui je suis la fondatrice de 2 entreprises, Fresh qui est une marque de prêt-à-porter et J'aime qui est une structure de consulting dans la mode pour laquelle j'exerce la fonction de responsable marketing. Un chef de produit, il est dédié normalement soit au développement d'un produit, soit à sa commercialisation. Dans les grandes maisons, c'est distingué. Dans des marques de prêt-à-porter, c'est sous la même casquette. L'idée, c'est vraiment de suivre la vie d'un produit, de sa création jusqu'à sa mise en vente, jusqu'à ce qu'il arrive chez le client final. Il faut un très bon sens de l'analyse parce qu'il faut comprendre un marché, il faut être très précis dans ses analyses de marché, ses analyses de chiffres. Une fois que le produit est lancé, pouvoir analyser les ventes, les comprendre et prendre des mesures correctives. Donc, il faut une finesse par rapport aux chiffres. Aimer les chiffres aussi, ça veut dire qu'il ne faut pas être allergique à l'analyse des chiffres. Et je pense qu'il faut être créatif aussi. Il faut quand même pouvoir imaginer le produit de demain, se relancer la vie d'un produit. Donc, c'est assez complet, c'est assez varié comme compétence. J'ai fait un bac S, une prépa grande école et ensuite j'ai fait une école de commerce et enfin un master à ESMOD. J'ai intégré Gucci en stratégie produit et Chanel en stratégie produit. Donc, c'est vraiment des postes de marketing développement. Et il y a 3 ans, j'ai lancé donc Fresh, ma première entreprise. Qui est fait pour vêtements qui ont envie tout le temps d'imaginer le vêtement de demain. C'est fait pour les passionnés de challenge parce qu'il c'est plein de challenges tous les jours. Et je pense que c'est aussi pour des passionnés d'actualité, de stratégie, qui vont toujours voir, parce qu'il ne faut pas que regarder le marché de la mode, même quand on développe un produit mode, il faut garder un œil sur ce qui se passe sur le marché de l'alimentaire, sur le marché de la culture, parce que tout s'imbrique et tout donne des idées.
De production, je suis responsable d'achat export depuis ma promotion.
Et dans quelle entreprise travailles-tu?
Je travaille chez Barbara Bui.
Et quels sont tes objectifs qui te sont assignés?
Alors, la gestion des commandes de production, on produit fini, semi-fini, enchaîné trame, cuir, maille, denim et broderie.
Principale mission, activité dont tu as la charge?
Alors, j'ai plusieurs missions. Je vais essayer de les détailler. J'ai la partie développement qui concerne le lancement des prototypes de collection, la création des fiches produits, la négociation des prix de production et le sourcing des fournisseurs quand c'est nécessaire. La partie production qui est l'essentiel de mon travail, ceci concerne la préparation des commandes, la mise en place du planning de production, la mise au point du produit, la création des fiches techniques principalement en anglais, le suivi du rétro-planning et la maîtrise du planning des livraisons. Je suis une ancienne élève d'ESMOD. J'ai obtenu le diplôme de stylisme et modélisme il y a quelques années. On ne va pas dire combien, on va garder le mystère. J'ai débuté ma vie professionnelle en tant que freelance pendant presque 5 ans. J'ai plutôt travaillé sur des missions de modélisme que sur le stylisme. Je me suis rendu compte en fait que le modélisme, c'était quelque chose qui ne me suffisait pas. J'ai découvert le domaine de l'import-export en faisant une mission dans le sentier. C'est ça qui m'a conduit en fait chez Barbara Bui. Mon poste chez Barbara Bui, à savoir que c'était une création de poste. Je pense qu'il ne faut pas être fermé en général et de rester et de tester en fait plusieurs métiers quand on a la possibilité de faire des stages. Alors, de mon expérience, un étudiant a tendance à se focaliser sur le métier de styliste ou de modéliste, car c'est le cœur du métier et de la formation. Mais l'industrie de la mode est énorme et elle a plusieurs possibilités en fait à offrir aux élèves. Donc, je pense qu'il faut rester très ouvert et les suivre un peu son parcours et son expérience.
Has a question for you, Costa.
So you've already told us a little bit about the production step and what you do within it. So do you have any advice for those of us that are watching about how to sort of hone their skills, whether it be soft skills or specific, for that sort of those professions?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say really go into fashion history, really research garments that might not even be fashion oriented, but workwear, old vintage finds, honestly, really understand what you are working with, really understand clothes in a fashion context and outside of a fashion context. But also I'd say to kind of keep yourself really open and interested in other things beyond fashion, because we can always pull from experiences in other fields, other interests, and I think that it's good to kind of stay awake to things and stay observant and really be open, challenge yourself always, and really I think now that because we are young, to listen a lot. We have a lot to express, and it's good to express, but it's also good to know when to listen and when to observe, because I think then you can really be able to take everything in and keep growing at a good pace, I think.
Thank you very much, Costa.
Very
You
welcome.
stay with us. We have a question for you.
I'm not looking at
Cross-disciplinary.
So, a special digital roundtable on career paths in the fashion industry this morning. We're going to speak about techniques and craftsmanship.
Yes, so as we continue on with our life cycle of a product, we will go to techniques and craftsmanship, which is, of course, one of our specialties here at ESMOD Fashion Design, thanks to, as Véronique mentioned earlier, thanks to our founder, Master Tailor Alexis Levine. There's something very unique, very special about the French savoir-faire, comme on dit, the expertise, whether it be the techniques that are traditional or modern, so embroidery, working with leather, with lace, all of those technical things, beading, all the little details, the finishing touches. And it's in this step where things really start to physically come to life. Pattern makers will make patterns. There will be prototypes, fittings, finishing touches. In haute couture, for example, the head seamstress oversees all the different products that are being made by all the different seamstresses in the atelier. So there are lots of moving parts, and it's very minute details, but very important.
Le savoir-faire. Is there a French touch in the fashion industry? Very difficult question. I know.
I do think so. I think that there's really a level of excellence that everyone tries to achieve in Paris, because of the storied history of all of the houses, all of the designers that have been based in Paris. Where I think New York, London, it's very creative and it's really more about pushing the boundaries. I think there's a healthy balance in Paris, and I think that there is a certain level of chic that you can't. I don't think it's something that you can explain. It's just, it exists. There's not a formula or a recipe, but there is something, I think, with French savoir-faire and what we bring here in Paris. So
yeah. Jana, you have a question for Costa?
How do you feel that the digital aspect, the tools that we have here at ESMOD, we teach Lectra for pattern making, Clo 3D for creative pattern making, and for design as well. So today, with all of the new tools that are coming about, how do you think that impacts both the French touch, but also just in general the professions?
No, I think it's necessary because, I mean, factories and freelance pattern makers, they're almost always up to date with the new tools, and a lot of times it's hard to bring these to houses because of fashion brands, because technologies change and it requires a certain amount of investment and training to be able to handle these new techniques within technology. And I think it's really important to keep yourself up to date with that, to be able to best work with all of your factories and the people externally outside of the company, to be able to understand what they do and how to best communicate what you do to them. it's we need technology. We need it, honestly.
Thank you very much, Costa. Thank you very much for being there. So now communication with Janan.
Boompa.
Sorry.
No worries.
Boompa.
No worries.
Communication is everywhere.
Yeah,
Actually, we can talk a lot about that.
So, well, actually, I think that a brand that doesn't interact with its customers loses a potential to win their customers' loyalty. So, the jobs in fashion communication, from press attaché to digital communications, are essential for giving visibility and developing a brand on a large scale. So, we can mention, of course, the communication director or the communication manager, who is in charge actually of the press relations, in-house or externally, the communication of the brand. But we have also the press officers or the public relations managers, who will actually deals daily with the press and media players, and their first objective is to make known either a brand, a company, or a product. We have also other jobs such as head of brand content, influencer, blogger, consultant, event manager, and of course all the jobs with the social networks, such as head of social media, who is going to put actually on the communication online through digital tools such as Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube. And I think that we have an alumni who's working now as a brand communication manager for Thierry Mugler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Janan?
Yes, so this step, just like the production step, is another hybrid. So it is open also to students that graduated from fashion design. So that whether it be graphic designers, fashion editors, photo stylists, it's not reserved only for fashion business students. It's also accessible to fashion design students.
Exactly.
Maybe we have Aida Menaz.
Yes.
Welcome to Aida Menaz. And Louise Jambon, two alumni who are with us today. So you can continue to ask your question with Facebook and YouTube and Zoom, and we'll answer to this question at 11:30. We have a lot of questions for Veronique, for Boompa, and for Janan. So Aida is there? Okay, so Aida is there. Maybe a few words, Veronique, about the French culture.
The French culture and heritage.
Yeah.
Because we are always, in France, we're always between tradition and innovation. Because at the same time, there is a tradition of the famous maisons de haute couture houses. And we have this heritage with Alexis. But after all those years, we saw the evolution of French fashion and French culture. Going to designers in the 70s and welcoming international designers. So France also has a lot of international aspects, let's say. But I don't forget, as you say, the factories in the whole France, in the west of France, in the north of France, with a renewal of textile and new technologies also. The silk in Lyon, and the special, really eco-fashion in the west of France, let's say. So I think French has different. French culture is a mix of heritage, really our culture coming from really strong. I mean, the different museums, and that's why it's very, very important to explore the culture. In museums and to go into museums when we will go back into museums. And also the lifestyle, the French lifestyle. As you say, chic. It's the first word. Yeah, it's the first word and world. The chic, but the chic can be twisted with the sportswear, with the streetwear, but there is a certain look. And the elegance we can also be matched with a little bit more edgy. So it's really something special, and you have also a new generation of designers here in France. They promote the made in France. They are like young entrepreneurs, and they want to really build new companies, and they want to mix a a lot of things, lifestyle mixed with couture or with design, and really be more sustainable and more we have that also everywhere in France.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Costa.
Thank you.
So Aida Menaz is there. She's brand image and communications coordinator at Mugler. Hi, Aida.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm good. Oh, 1 second. Et voilà.
So, what is your
Hi.
job? Explain us the job in Mugler.
So at Mugler, what I do is I work as an in-house communications and image coordinator. So my daily work would comprise of assisting the head of communications with all strategies and execution that needs to be done for for the ongoing projects and also for future projects. And I also coordinate and manage celebrity and VIP partnerships. And what I do is whenever we're having fashion shows, I mean now it's all digital for the moment. But it's also coordinate and also handle in terms of samples, and also what also daily comprises of my regular activity is to coordinate and also communicate as much as possible with our press team at a press agency called KCD, where we're always trying to have a PR strategy in terms of what kind of magazines we will be working with in the future and for current seasons, and also different types of activity involving influencers, etc., etc. So what is interesting about Mugler is that there is a fashion division and there is a fragrance division. So a chunk of my daily work also is dedicated to communicating with the fragrance division, because we're trying to build a unanimous, cohesive image of the brand throughout because at the other side of the audience, it's only one brand at the end of the day. So working with perfumes is also something that is very interesting at the time.
Janan has a question for you.
So, what would you say is one part of your ESMOD, the courses that you took, any particular subject on the whole? Is there anything that you would say serves you on a regular basis in your job today?
For sure. I had a lot of classes during my years at ESMOD. With Miss Stephanie Hoffman, where I particularly remember one class where we were talking about crisis management a lot. It was like a couple of 2 or 3 sessions that we spent 3-4 hours talking about crisis. So which, to be honest, at this current time and age is super relevant. With this year 2020 has been quite interesting, also in fashion and also society in general, and dealing with the ongoing pandemic. So that's every time we're doing something, I'm thinking, okay, what I learned in school, maybe a little bit go back to my notes of what I wrote down there. So it has been quite helpful to formulate, okay, maybe this might be beneficial to the team, or maybe we can throw in these sort of suggestions. That is super interesting. And what was also important to note is that I had my mentor in my Master 2 thesis, Mr. John Francois, who basically where it was throughout the 2 years of my time at ESMOD was very much involved in our marketing classes. So those were the ones that pretty much stuck with me since I've graduated.
Boompa has a question for you.
Yes, Ms. Boompa.
Yes, Aida. I know that you've never stopped working even during your studies, and that you had many experiences actually in the fashion industry. Have you imagined that today you will evolve in the communication area and at Thierry Mugler? Because I know also that you did your last year internship at Thierry Mugler, and that you were hired at the end after completing your internship. So have you imagined it today that you will have this position
to be honest,
in France? And in France, in Paris.
Yeah. Of course, definitely. Like, to be honest, like that's like one of the things that, you know, gets you motivated to get, you know, like something to make you excited about your day is that sometimes I still have to pinch myself and like, okay, this is really happening. I mean, even today. So my backstory for fashion is a little bit different compared to what I've seen with my peers. I didn't necessarily have a formal degree in fashion before I did my master at ESMOD. Before I had my bachelor's in biochemistry and biotechnology from a university back home. And I did have interest in fashion, so I started working for like a couple of years in marketing at home. But the ESMOD like once I arrived in France and I started studying at ESMOD, and then at the what I used to do throughout my days is like finish my classes, then probably run to your office and say, I have an internship that is willing to hire me voluntarily part-time.
Voluntarily, very important.
Voluntarily part-time. So can you please give me an internship agreement? So we used to like have like a lot of exchange about that. So in 2 years, I did, I think, about 4 voluntary internships before I did my Terry Mugler gig for the mandatory one. So all of these experiences combined does prep you for the job a little bit, but then it's like once you're in, and it's like you really need to like absorb what the environment of the school and also of at work, what you're being provided with, and do the best you can.
Véronique?
I have a question as
Yes,
you are
thank you,
professional now.
Of course.
Let's
no
talk
problem.
about community manager, because I remember, because you were one of my students. You remember that?
Yes, yes.
And you were very interested in influencers. And how do you see the evolution of that, of the community managers and new generation of influencers?
For sure. Like, it's interesting how you brought up community management, because now, as a day-to-day basis, I am like working with the styling teams of different VIPs and celebrities on behalf of the house and communicating with them pretty much every single day. And it has been quite a successful year if you look at in terms of communication for the brand. So we had like 20 covers worldwide, even through a pandemic. So we are really like, really like, I'm really super proud of what we've done this year. So community management for sure is super important, especially at this time and age, because all the brands like now, the strategy is to become more people-centric, and influencers right now are the voice of the people to a certain extent. So they basically like act as a mediator between the brand and a certain audience that they have, whatever following they have. So building like for a brand, it's important to build what we called a cult, you know, like a selective 10, 15 influencers that are like super on brand, how we call it, and then, you know, like understand what like a brand is all about. If it's too girly, if it's too chic, if it's too, you know, like for like younger audience, so, or mature audience. So it's like it's more to like, you really need to understand the brand DNA in order to choose the influencers and the celebrities you want to work with, because not everybody is for everybody. So, having some sort of a knowledge in that and being able to like through formal education, what it helps you is like to identify key indicators of how, okay, you take something very abstract and then you streamline it down to like 4 or 5 bullet points of what the other person is saying or what he or she is about, and then you decide whether or not you choose to work with them. So super important at this decade for sure.
How did you get the opportunity to join Mugler?
So basically, I did a summer internship for about 2 months at a press agency called KCD in France, and they have like press offices worldwide too. So, it was just only for Paris Fashion Week, like during the entire time period. And at the time, I was hired by by KCD's digital team to manage and help them handle the accounts for Balmain. And how it unfolded is that I was supposed to go back to like right after the summer internship. I had to do like a 3 or 4 months of classes of for the academic year for the 5th year, and then go back to KCD. But there were not only open positions available, so it was very kind enough for the VP at the time to recommend my name to Mugler. So, and we're like, I'm still friends with my managers from KCD. I even spoke to her yesterday. And the VP that used to be there, Alex, he's now the communications director at Gucci. So it's nice to see how, you know, like you still have connections that you have built over the
Friends
years.
in high
It's really
Definitely, definitely. So, it was like it's all about the positive energy and the environment that you bring to the table, and also you involve yourself in. So therefore, I was fortunate enough to be recommended to Mugler as a special CV.
Helps be a good person.
For sure.
Thank you very much, Aida.
Of course, it's my pleasure.
Thanks, Aida.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have Louise Jambon with us. So Louise is there. Hello, Louise.
Hello, Louise.
Hello.
Hello.
What is your job today?
Which one?
Your job. This is a studio boutique vintage.
Yes, I have 3 kind of.
Yes, you have
jobs.
3 jobs.
Yes, I'm a project manager for
Yeah.
a production company, a Belgian one, and so I organize fashion shows. I also created in 2019 my vintage online e-shop, and I'm also the co-founders of an association of second-hand clothes, and it's called La Mode Urbaine.
Could you tell us about the courses you had in ESMOD? Are they still useful to you today?
Yes, every day actually. So I studied ESM in 2015, I think, and so I was in the international class, and I started working during my 2nd year as an intern in the fashion shows production. So I stayed as an intern for 1 year, I think. I was working at Acne Studio at the time, and then on my 3rd year they asked me if I could do my freelance status, so I could start working with them as an employee, kind of.
Janan, you have a question?
What attracted you? Because events is such a broad thing, and it's so involved. There are many different aspects to it. So what drew you to that?
It was really a coincidence, actually. I didn't know I wanted to do that. Well, apparently I always wanted to do that. My parents told me, but I forgot. But I just applied to an internship on the beginning of my 2nd year at Acne Studio, and they were looking for 5 interns to help them during the fashion week. But I didn't know what it was about. I just applied because I wanted to have more experience, and I wanted to see what a fashion week looks like. And I didn't really expect that, and I really liked it because it was a very complete job. We were dealing with logistics, but also marketing and communication, and a lot of different aspects of this area, and that's what really interested me in this job. And then I just wanted to continue.
A question from...
Yes, Louise. Maybe I would like you to tell us more about, you talked earlier about the fact that you worked for a Belgian company in events production. So I think since we are in the part of communications and that students are very interested in doing, organizing catwalks and being in this atmosphere of fashion shows, maybe can you tell us more about what is supposed to do actually someone who's going to be a manager of events?
So, as I told you, it's a very complete job. So as a project manager, because that's what they call me, you are the links between all the different people that will organize the show. So from architects to technical directors to light designers, backstage manager or logistic manager, and as a project manager you are the link between all these persons. We have to build a concept that we will propose to our clients, so the brand, to the creative team, And then once they validate, generally we propose like 3 concepts, and then they validate one, or generally they like a mix of the 3. So we have to make another one, and then once the concept is validated, we start the production. So it will be the production of the scene, and then we have to think also about the backstage. So they will tell us like how many looks there are, how many models, if they have to change, or if there is one look per models. And so we have to think about the different materials we have to take. So it's very complete. It's from the scene to the backstage to the logistic. I'm booking trucks. I'm organizing all the trucks arriving. I'm doing the plannings. And then you have to be curious about the job of everyone. I have to know the time that it takes for the technical team to be ready, and the light team and the backstage, because I'm the one who's doing the planning. So I have to know approximately who has to start, and so everybody can work on time. And then of course it's the setup. Like generally we arrive like 2 days before the show, and we start to set up everything. So the scene, the suppliers that are building the scene are here, and then the backstage manager is building the backstage, and the catering as well. We are in charge of the catering, and then it's the due day, and then we welcome the brand, and then it's the show, and then we have to dismantle and start again.
Can you tell us what were your clients?
So I did shows for Tom Brown, Kenzo, Jill Sander, OANC, Acne Studio, Patou, and then a Japanese brand called Beautiful People.
What is it like having to work with, because each of those brands are different from each other in terms of, their target markets, in terms of their own personal style, their brand identity and everything. So what is it like having to put together events for different types of brands like that?
Well, generally a brand, when they come to a specific production company, it's because also they like the production company, like what they are doing, the kind of atmosphere they have. But on my side, when you work with different brands like that, you have to be very curious about the brand, but also what happened on all the different brands, because you don't want to propose something that has been done already by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something actually we learned at school, because I remember we had to, during the fashion week, we had to watch all the fashion shows, and then we were debating in the class and discussing about the new collection and what we thought about this kind of shows. So they really teach us how to be curious and how to analyze something, so either the brand or the collection they were presenting. And so I'm using it all the time, because I have to know the brand I'm working for, and I have to analyze them and propose something that they will like. So you have to stay curious and open to everything.
You stay with us? Yes. We're going to speak with Boompa about distribution.
Distribution and trade, of course, so a key sector of the economy. The trade and distribution offers a wide range of professions. Today, with the boom of the e-commerce, and even more with the current context that we know, with the lockdown and the social distancing, many brands and companies have had to adapt to new ways of consumption, new ways of buying, and to move to digital. And today, using and managing digital tools actually have become a necessity. So there's many examples of profession in this area. So we can name, for example, the store manager, the sales or retail director. We have the wholesale director. Maybe you can explain, Véronique, what is supposed to do the wholesale director?
Yeah, why I'm going to explain, because that was really before being a part of ESMOD team. I was, had different jobs in different fashion companies. And this was really when I started at Karl Lagerfeld and Paco Rabanne, I was wholesale manager. That means that it was only physical, because today we talk about phygital, as you said, physical and digital, omni-channel, because also you can sell also on social media now.
Of course.
So coming back to the past, wholesale means even today doing a B2B, meaning that you're not going to sell directly to the final customer. You are going to have to convince retailers. It could be online multi-brand shops, online concept shops, and physical concept shops. Retail, that means that you're going to build your own network of shops, physical or now your own e-commerce. And as you mentioned, there are new jobs now to promote, because I know that sometimes the new generation, they don't know about distribution and all the possibilities of the jobs, because a lot of famous people, they started on the floor in department stores or in a shop, and then they became even artistic director later. So you find also the VIP shoppers. They are very important now in department stores because they have
we
to
knew
manage
actually the personal shopper,
yes,
but now we have the VIP shopper.
VIP shopper, VIP ambassador. When you are, imagine when you are director of Dior flagship Avenue Montaigne, it's kind of really a brand ambassador, and you are really a part of the marketing strategy too. So you have more and more visual merchandising. This is very important. You mentioned it's between marketing and really the sales.
Yes.
So I think that more and more there are some offers for the distribution, because it's really linked with the communication. First, you have to link both, communication, distribution, to be able to tell the right stories to your final customers. So you have to know a lot about the product, about the specificities of the product. This is our strength at fashion business, because as you mentioned, we have like this cross-disciplinary, and we also talk a lot about culture, products, textiles, all different materials, fabrics, and techniques, because we have also some short workshops about pattern making, even at fashion business.
Véronique spoke about phygital. It's a very important concept for the fashion industry today. It's unmissable. Immanquable in English.
Yeah, unmissable.
Unmissable.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about phygital in distribution?
Well, on the fashion shows production part, I only did the physical shows.
Yeah.
So for now, I don't have any clients that want to do digital, and I think it's not even. I mean, if we had to do something digital, we could, but it's a very different job, and I think people in my firm, they will agree with me if I say that we like the intensity of the fashion show and having guests, and so I think it's a very different job and area to organize digital fashion shows. But for my other jobs, about your studio, my vintage online shop, I started to do kind of digital things. So I work online, and I used to also organize small events to present my clothes and what I was doing. I was doing a salon as well. But now we had to adapt ourselves, so I organize a lot of vintage online market. So it's basically trying to recreate everything that you can find on the vintage market, physical one, but online and with a lot of interaction. It's a bit new and challenging, so I'm not sure it's perfect yet, but you have to adapt yourself and propose something different.
Janan, you have last question for?
Do you have any advice for the people watching that want to break into the fashion industry, that want to come to ESMOD and learn about fashion? Any guidance that you could give them? Any certain classes they should pay attention to? Any advice?
I'd say my advice is to be curious about everything, trying to be also confident about yourself, because it's a very challenging and competitive area. And I remember when I arrived my first year, I was in a class with a lot of different people. I was in the international class, so I think there were people from 18 to 27 years old. So we were all very different with our different experience, and I felt like I knew nothing about fashion. And you have to stay confident about yourself and being open to every opportunities. For example, my first year as an intern at Acne Studio, which was the beginning of my career, I was not well paid or not paid at all, but at the end, on my third year, I already had a job as a freelance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did some sacrifice, and I just worked hard, and I stayed focused on my objective. And also, I was, you asked me about the specific class that you have to pay attention. For me, it was the very creative class that we could have. So like the fashion history was very interesting. Or I remember we had also vocabulary of fashion. The first year it was very interesting as well, learning the details of the clothes and how they are made, because that's something, even though you are in the marketing and communication part, you need to know this kind of details about the clothes, because you will work always with the creative part, so you have to stay open to all these aspects of the job.
Thank you very much, Louise, for being there this morning. My last question is for Véronique, who is the Chief Operating Officer. Why should a future student choose ESMOD?
So many reasons. I mean, we've just seen that with all our alumni and testimonies. But first of all, I think in our network of French schools and French and international schools, we are all passionate and involved and motivated by the transmission of those craftsmanship and of our culture. And that's very important because, you know, we are like a big family. And that's very, very important. We have like this kind of a connection all together between the two schools and the different teams, first of all. And then let's go back to the roots of ESMOD. Since 1841, we also have now our publishing house with the special educational methodologies, as we have seen. And they are also, hello Claire, she's also in charge with her team of the heritage, meaning that we have now an ESMOD heritage with historical costume from the 18th to until now, and then the students from fashion design and fashion business, they can go and check different details and the inspiration coming from the culture and the heritage. Also, as we said, we are in France, and especially in Paris, when we've seen since the different years the evolution of the haute couture going into innovation, and a new generation of haute couture houses and designers. Luxury groups are in France and in Paris, and we have also a new generation of startuppers. And that means that also ESMOD is really connected with all kinds of different aspects, not only of luxury, but fashion and lifestyle. Also, we followed the major changes into the industry. And until now, we integrate innovation inside also the way that we are teaching now, because we have to adapt ourselves, but we were ready before at ESMOD Pro with executive courses. We already launched online and e-learning. Then now we can do that. We do like phygital courses. So we are ready to organize this kind of blended pedagogy. So many things. I think there is also more and more direct connection and collaboration between our different students for fashion design and fashion business, because we do more team buildings, workshops, projects together. And more, we will have some hybrid courses. And finally, our alumni, you know, they come and they go back, they are part of the jury, and we want more and more interaction with them, asking for them advices for the evolution of our different curriculums and programs. So. And I forgot to say something when we introduced different curriculum. Yeah. We have, as you said, executive courses and short courses also. That becomes very, very important because you want to perform yourself. And then you have summer evening courses. You have special French fashion discovery if you want to, perhaps you don't know yet, if you want to be a part of and to be into fashion design or into fashion business. So, but you will have some information later about that.
So we will spend the next 30 minutes answering your question with Véronique, who is the Chief Operating Officer, with Boompa, Career Development Services for fashion business, and with Janan Fugel, Admission Officer in ESMOD Paris. So, first question.
Which undergraduate course would be the best undergraduate course to become a trend forecaster? So trends and trend forecasting, as we saw the video with Laure Nicolai earlier, it encompasses a lot of different things. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that could be rather hybrid.
Exactly.
You could come from either fashion design or fashion business.
Yeah.
So either one, really, it kind of depends on which sort of route, where within trends you want to go.
May I say something? It would depend when you talk about trends, if you talk about the consumers' trends or if you talk about the fashion trends. So there is like something, and everything is linked with, but it's very important to understand that trends. And perhaps because this question is because you would like to work into a trends office or something like that.
Like prospective agency,
prospective agency.
Thank you, Elena, for your question. Another question from... Okay.
How do the admission process work here at ESMOD? So there are a few easy steps if you would like to apply to ESMOD. The first step is you go to our online application platform, my.esmod.com. You will create your own account. So you will, put your information in. You will get an email. You'll be able to set your own password. Once that's done, you can start the application on that website. You will upload a few documents that we require, which is your resume or CV, your cover letter, your transcripts, and your most recent diploma, as well as a copy of your passport. Then we will look at your profile, we will evaluate all of the documents you sent us, and we will send you back a creative dossier assignment that we will ask you to complete. You'll have about a week to complete it. This is for both fashion design and fashion business. The subjects are a little bit different for depending on which program you're applying to, but in either case, you'll have something to complete. So this is sort of in lieu of a portfolio, since here we do not have any prerequisites. We don't require you to have studied pattern making or design or business previously. So you can have studied anything in high school. And so rather than asking you to give us a formal portfolio, this creative dossier assignment is your opportunity to show us your motivation, why you want to study fashion, particularly at ESMOD, what your inspirations are, what your relationship with art is in general, with fashion, of course. So it's really your chance to show off. Once you send us the assignment back and we evaluate it, we will then invite you for an interview with a professor. Another opportunity for you to tell us more about yourself, to discuss more about what you put into that creative dossier assignment, and then you get your decision.
Another question?
Are fashion design students taught a little bit of business? Yes, they are. If someone wishes to start their own brand, they must know the basics of marketing. So is that a part of the course? It is absolutely a part of the course. As Véronique mentioned, and as we've mentioned throughout the day, our courses are hybrid. So if you're a fashion design student, you will get some business courses. And if you are a fashion business student, you get some creative design courses.
I think that my advice would be perhaps to start with an undergraduate program as fashion designers, and after you can go to a postgraduate program of fashion business, you can stay into the postgraduate fashion design. It depends what kind of entrepreneur you would like to be. Perhaps you would like to promote something a little bit more commercial concept, then it's better for fashion business. Or if you want to create something, really a brand which is a little bit more high-end or really conceptual with a lot of innovation, you go further to fashion design postgraduates.
Another question?
Javier asks, where are fashion design students placed usually after completing their undergraduate program? Well, as you've seen, based on the plan of alums that we've had today, there are a wide range. And thanks to Bumpa and her counterpart, Marion, in the Fashion Design School, our career development services help you to sort of orient yourself when you're looking for your internships that are a part of the curriculum. Do you want to talk about that maybe a little bit, Bumpa?
Yeah, actually, we have our own. We have our professional partners also in who come to the school to recruit our students when they need interns. So we can also organize some kind of events really specialized in the recruitment of students. So we organize with Marion some career days or meetings with professionals, conferences about different thematics such as sustainability or digital innovation. So there will be very different possibilities actually to exchange and meet professionals along your studies.
So we have another question from Kelly asking about, is it possible to join the master's program for creative direction even though she trained at a different school? And that is absolutely, of course, the case. You don't have to have studied at ESMOD undergraduate to study our postgraduate programs. You can definitely just join us for the postgraduate if you'd like. However, as part of the application process, we will of course look at your profile and make sure that you will be able to keep up with where we are, where the students are in the 4th and 5th year before coming.
No more questions?
No more questions?
Yes, we have. Okay.
And that's the same case on the fashion business side, of course. You don't have to have studied the undergraduate fashion business course to join the fashion business postgraduate program. And there are several dual degrees that are available as well. Veronique, do you want to talk about the dual degrees?
The other degrees?
Our partnerships with Neoma, for example.
Ah, yes, okay. The different partnership with, yes, for the 4th year at Fashion Business, we have a partnership with Neoma Business School to have the double graduation. And they are more focused on digital marketing and strategies with Neoma. So the first trimester is with Neoma. For the fashion business students, they are at Neoma, and some Neoma students, they go into fashion business second year. And then after, of course, our fashion business students, they go on and they are going to work, as I said, for the 4th year with the fashion designer students to build their brand. And not to build the collection, but to build the brand and the brand strategy and development.
And I just would like to add to your response, Veronique, regarding the admissions actually also in the fashion business programs. So as we said also earlier, you can enter directly the 2nd year, the 3rd year of our bachelor program or the postgraduate programs, because we welcome different profiles of students. They can come from communication schools or business schools. So there are these criteria of admissions where you can have basics already in business, communication, economy, and then you can just enter the 2nd year of ESMOD Fashion Business, or just to apply to the postgraduate program in order to get this specialization in fashion and the luxury industry.
Are there online courses in pattern making?
So right now, in light of the sanitary context that we are all currently living through, lovely, we do have online courses right now for all of our students. Since we have so many students, of course, also a large part of our student body is international, so they may not have been able to come to France right away at the beginning of the school year. And of course, because of everything going on in France as well, in terms of the government's mandates, we have online courses for design, for pattern making, for all of our courses. We have the opportunity, thanks to the French government's allowance, to do certain technical courses in person, of course, with all of the sanitary measures that are necessary. But for the most part, our courses are completely online, and they were also last March when France did their first confinement. So we are prepared. We have all the technology to do so, and on Teams, I think things are going pretty well, despite the fact that everyone is probably over Zoom at this point. But yes.
May I say something more? Because I think that, as I said, we are going to build a really e-learning strategy, and with not only with pattern making, but again, if I'm sure that there are some professors attending the presentation. Thank you very much, because everybody was so involved, and also we don't forget the e-books. We have also basically our methodology on e-books, and it helped a lot for building those videos and those special digital craftsmanships.
A question from a student from China.
Yes.
About requisition of international student admission.
So as I mentioned earlier, the steps for admissions are actually the same for international students. There's absolutely no difference if you're an international student, if you're a French student, if you're American. It is exactly the same. It's the same steps. So you create your account on ESMOD, you send in the documents we require, we'll send you the evaluation topic that you'll complete and send it back to us, and then you'll get an interview, which will be on Skype, of course, or Zoom, or virtually, and then you'll get your decision. But it's the exact same no matter what country you come from.
Another question?
I would be applying to ESMOD for next year for fashion design, only having a high school education. That's totally fine. I was wondering how developed the portfolio would have to be. So as I said, we have no prerequisites, so we do not expect you to already be a professional designer to apply. So wherever you are, whatever, even if you don't draw at all, if you just maybe are into photography and things like that, the creative dossier assignment, as I said, is really your opportunity to show off what you do. We want to see your own artistic universe. We want to see your inspirations. We want to see your motivation, why you want to study fashion at ESMOD. Because once you get here, it's fashion pretty much 24/7. So we want to make sure that that you'll be able to make it for the long haul. So there you go.
Another one? No? Not for, yeah.
Oh.
Someone is asking about the English qualifications. So we do have our programs both in French and English here at ESMOD Paris, ESMOD Fashion Business and Fashion Design, with the exception of course, for the Fashion Design program in the third year, it is taught in French because that is the year of specialization, as Veronique mentioned in her introduction. And so rather than being separated by language, the third year is separated, of Fashion Design is separated by specialty. But other than that, all of our courses are in English. And so we do not have any requirements for language competency tests. If you have the scores, you can feel free to send them. But otherwise, we do our own in-house language evaluations throughout the application process via the documents that you send in. So if you're applying in French, you need to send everything in French. If you're applying in English, you need to send everything in English. And via your creative dossier assignment, and then via the interview, we do our own language evaluation, so we don't require any scores.
No question, no more question, I think. Veronique, it would be very interesting to remind the different, the different training courses maybe after. So.
We are going to answer to the last questions, Umaya?
Yes, of course.
So there's one last question. How long does the portfolio evaluation take before the interview? That will depend on exactly when you submit it. For example, if you were to send us your evaluation subject, let's say within the next 2 weeks, but the 2 weeks after that, the school is closed for the holidays, so it would take a little bit longer than normal. But it normally takes about a week and a half or so, and you'll hear back from the admissions officer that's reviewing your application.
So the different training courses in fashion design and in fashion business.
Yeah. As I said in the beginning, fashion design is really, that's very, very important to mix design, pattern making, cutting, sewing, handmade, now some digital classes. That's very important. These are mainly really, and I insist also on the techniques and the craftsmanship. Very, very important. So basically, this is really like 80% of the courses, let's say. But of course, we bring some fundamentals because when you want to become a fashion designer, more you have the techniques and the different techniques and with our different methodologies of pattern making, you can be like really very talented designers. And the greatest designers, they come from the pattern making and from the cutting and from the sewing. That's very, very important. And even if you want to be a creative director with our postgraduate program, as we heard this morning, you have to have this the vision of the market. You have to feel the consumers. You have to be in direct connection with the evolution of the markets and the evolution of the new technologies, and to be like a great communicator. Some designers, they don't draw anymore, but they are great communicators. For the fashion business, it's quite interesting to know that, in fact, the objective would be to be like the manager of designers, to manage different departments inside a fashion company, or to have also your own company. Even for fashion design, you can be an entrepreneur, but there is a difference sometimes between entrepreneur and business. So fashion business, meaning that you have to go deep into the new fundamentals of marketing, digital marketing, and the approach of CRM, as we said, to know about now the datas, the new way of really approach the consumers. But the strength of fashion business at ESMOD is like we are really in direct connection with design. So I think you have to understand not only the technical skills of the designers, but also what they have in mind, the creativity, and to be really to have this confidence altogether. In fashion business, what is very important is really also a business plan. You have also to be strong in IT. Let's say that IT is very important, and we see it today. And thank you also to our IT team, because you have to like figures. You have to also to be more and more involved into the e-commerce. For fashion business, we are going really to push more and more e-commerce and e-merchandising courses. And of course, to speak different languages, because even if you want to work in Paris or in France, I mean, we have different suppliers. You are going to be in connection with different cultures, and it's very important because at ESMOD you can meet so different people even inside the schools, because we have like 60 different nationalities inside the school here in Paris, and even sometimes in the other schools in France.
Thank you very much. Janelle,
welcome.
You want to add something?
Here at ESMOD, everyone is welcome, and we love having as much diversity as possible, as Veronique said, in terms of representation of nationalities, in terms of interests. Of course, within the fashion industry, as we've been saying throughout this whole time, there's so many different avenues you can go down, so many different career paths. So make sure you keep an open mind and don't close yourself off to anything, because as we've heard from some of our alums, sometimes where they've ended up was a surprise. They didn't know that they were going to end up there. They didn't know that they would be interested in a certain thing, like Louise said, with event planning. So make sure that you keep an open mind, and if you have any questions, you can always contact us, admissions.paris at esmod.com, and we are happy to answer.
So I'm going to give you the mobile phone of Janet. No, it's a joke. Last question for you, Veronique. ESMOD is very proud of all the students in the school and the old students.
Yes, and I have to say that particularly today, I felt really something like sometimes we are not in a permanent contact with them, because life is life, and we see generation after generation and promotion after promotion. But I have to say, in our really not future strategy but existing really organization, I want to focus more and more about this collaboration and contacts with alumni. And I think that we are proud because, again, we saw those alumni working inside different companies. Not only again in like famous companies, because we are in a world now that even small companies or new startups are becoming more and more important, and this is also very important for us. We want to be in connection again with new generation of entrepreneurs. That's why we are proud of that in ESMOD.
Thank you very much. Janan, I'm so sorry for my English.
I forgive you, it's okay.
I will be your animator this afternoon and I will do it in French. So thank you very much for this special digital roundtable this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very
See you
much.
at 2 o'clock.
And yes, of course.
In French.
In French.
Yes, in French.
Thanks
And
for joining
hope
us.
to welcome you very soon here.